Winners and losers have the same goals. The difference is not found in the aim they're going after, but in their mindsets and what they're doing while they're going after that aim. Winners have a different mindset, a different perspective, a different perception, a different way of thinking than losers do, and that helps them to accomplish the same goals that losers set out to accomplish but fail to do so. So, how can we develop a winner's mindset? How can we have that way of thinking? And the answer is found in our mental state, which I define as the environment of our mind. We all know that our environment dictates our self control. Better environment helps us to have better self control. For example, if I have a refrigerator that's full of unhealthy foods like cookie cakes and different chocolates and other things, well, it's harder to exercise the self control to not eat those foods because that is what is available to me. On the other hand, if my fridge is full of fruits and vegetables and milk and different healthy things, well, now it's easy to have the self control to choose those options because my mind has to waste less energy on making a good decision, since fruit and vegetables is the only thing available to me. Self control is simply about limiting the actions that are not aligned with the goals you want to have. Or I should say, the actions that are available, the choices that are available to you. If I can't choose wrong, my default has to be right. And thus, I have the self control to do what is right. That's the same principle we can apply to our mind. Like I said, our mind is an environment. And just like self control, a better environment leads to better thoughts. And that better thoughts helps us to have a better mindset. And that's what winners do. They have a good mental state, and that allows them to have a mindset that breeds success, that produces good outcomes in their lives, while losers have a poor mindset, a poor mental state. They have cookies and cakes and chocolates in their fridge, so now it's harder to act in a way that's inconsistent to the environment that they have. It's harder to pick good things when all you have is bad. So, how can we develop a better mental state? And there are a few ways to do this. The first thing is by eliminating your negative thoughts. See, negative thoughts leads to negative results because it changes your expectation. Your expectation is a future imagined outcome. It's what I make up in my mind about the future. And losers have negative thoughts. They have negative expectations. When we're playing a game of basketball, let's say, a loser, their mental state will be negative. So they say, hey, I'm going to miss this shot that I'm about to take. Hey, I can't guard this guy. Hey, why is my coach not playing me? I must suck. They have such negative thoughts that breeds negative expectations, and you normally live out what you expect to happen. I'm not saying you get the outcome that you're expecting. I'm simply saying that your actions are aligned with your expectations because your expectation is your belief. And my actions are a product of the beliefs I consistently have. Because beliefs, they shape your worldview. As a Christian, I have a certain worldview, a certain way of viewing things. And because I view it that way, now my actions are consistent with that. And that is what I call perspective. Perspective is how you view something. So as a Christian, I may say, hey, this is good, this is bad. And because I have that perspective that breeds thoughts that are aligned with what I think is good, and because I have those thoughts, those expectations, my actions naturally align with that same exact thing. So, how can this apply to negative and positive? Well, everything we have in life, everything we face in life can be viewed in a negative way or in a positive way. If someone slaps me in the face, I can view that in a negative way. Man, this guy must hate me. This guy's just being upset. Or I can see a positive on it. Let's say a fly was on my face and they slapped to get my fly off the face, or I had some stuff on my face. Well, there's always a way you can view something positively, right? So if I view it positively, I now get a better positive expectation, and that expectation leads to better outcomes, better actions. Going back to the basketball example, we all, like I said, expectations are a future imagined outcome. It's what I make up in my mind about the future. Everything you think about the future is actually just made up. You can determine what you think about in the future. If I say, man, I'm going to miss this shot, I made that up. Hey, my coach is not going to play me, I made that up. Right? So if I just look at the positive and I just choose to have my mindset on a positive outcome, saying, man, I'm going to hit this shot, it doesn't take any more effort to say, I'm going to hit this shot versus I'm going to miss this shot. But that's just the difference between losers and winners. Winners choose to focus their mind on the positive outcomes they want to experience in life, while losers do the opposite. Why? Why do losers have such poor perspectives on life? It's because of their mental states. That perspective is what they have available in their fridge. So they have to pick it, or it takes a lot of self-control to act in a way that's inconsistent to those thoughts. So they have to have bad perspectives. They have to have bad expectations because that's the only thing available to them. While winners have a different mental state, they have a different environment in their mind. But how? How exactly can we develop this environment? Yes, I can look at the positive versus the negative, but if all I have available to me is negative, how can I then turn that into the positive? And the answer is found in any habit. It's reinforcement. The more I think about what is positive, the easier it is to have that perspective in life. Because when I focus my mind on attaining that aim, now my mind is looking for more ways to affirm that way of thinking. If I set my mind on a goal, my mind looks for all sorts of ways saying, hey, how can I confirm this goal is true? That's why people have such confirmation bias. They have a belief and they don't ever examine that belief to say if it's true, say if it's not. So they just have a belief and they look for different things that confirm that belief. And if something doesn't confirm it, they just dismiss it. Right? So if I have my goal in the same way, if I have my mind set on a belief, set on an aim I want to accomplish, well, now my mind is looking for things that affirm that way of thinking. So if I say, man, in every situation, this is a good thing, well, now my mind is going to figure out how can this be a good thing. That's because our frames create our focus, and our focus forms our beliefs, and our beliefs shape our perception. So when I say something positive, like this is a good thing, that creates a frame. How is this positive? Why is this positive? And that frame, when I ask that question, is going to naturally produce an answer. And when I focus on the answer, this is positive because it's going to produce a good outcome. Well, that focus turns into a belief, and that belief shapes my perception. And that's another difference between winners and losers. That's a different mental state that they have. Winners have better perceptions than losers do. A perception is what you notice and how you choose to respond to it. So going back to basketball example, if I say, hey, I'm going to make this shot and I miss the shot, well, a loser, his perception is going to be different than a winner. A loser is going to notice the missed shot and say, man, I must be off today. I'm not going to take any more shots. A winner looks at that exact same situation, the exact same missed shot. He notices the same thing, but because he has a different mindset, he now has a different response to it. He says, oh, I missed this shot. Well, I'm going to make the next one. That's a different perception, and that perception gives them a different result. But how did they have that perception? Why did they have that perception and a loser had a different one? How do they have that expectation that's positive while a loser a negative expectation? The answer is found in their frame. They thought to themselves, how can this be positive? And that led to their brain, their mind thinking, okay, how can this be positive? Oh, let's just say we're going to make the next shot. That is to affirm my belief. Well, a loser, because of the environment in mind, they now have to choose a negative outcome, and that produces a negative perception because their frame shapes their focus, and that focus forms a belief, and that belief has shaped their perception for the negative. So that's the difference between winners and losers, their perspectives and their perceptions Another big distinction between winners and losers is not just how they view what they do, but also how they do what they do. I love this verse in Ecclesiastes 9:10. It says, "Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with your might. For there's no work or device or knowledge or wisdom in the grave where you're going." What that verse is telling us to do is when we're working to do it with our might, to do it with efficiency, because when we die, we can't do any more work anymore. And that's what winners do. When they put in work, they make sure to put in effort. They make sure to work smart so they can get the best results out of the inputs they're putting in. See, our inputs create our outputs. If you want better outputs, better results, you have to have better inputs. So how can we have better inputs? It's by working with our might. It's by doing it efficiently. It's by putting in effort towards the goals you want to accomplish. And this all goes back to our mental state. It's our way of thinking. Winners think, hey, how can I do this more efficiency? How can I put in more effort towards the work I'm putting in? Well, losers just think about, how can I get this work done? I work two jobs. One of them is a Quick Trip gas station. Another one is a Lifetime, which is a gym. And working part-time, I'm sure you guys, if you have a part-time job, you know this as well. You just want to get paid. Like, you don't really care about doing a good job. You're just saying, hey, what is the least amount of effort I can put in and still get my paycheck with my manager or my boss getting mad at me, right? But I realized that is a poor mindset. In fact, that's a loser's way of thinking. Because a loser is just thinking about, hey, what is the least I can do and still maintain my job and still maintain my integrity and still get a result? They're thinking about the least they can do, while winners are thinking about the best they can do. Because my frame is, yo, if I work like this, that says to me I'm serving money and not God. Jesus said, "No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he'll be loyal to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon." So if I say to my job, yo, I'm gonna put in the least amount of effort I can while still making my paycheck, I'm serving money. I'm not working with my might. I'm not working with efficiency, and I'm not working to bring a good benefit to other people or for the glory of God. Winners have a different mindset. They're saying, hey, what is the best I can do? I want to do my best. And guess what? That's why they get better results, because they have better inputs. So even though winners and losers having the same mindset toward their job gets paid the same, winners get a better output from the same work losers are putting in. How is that the case? It's the case because a winner is becoming more. So what do I mean by becoming more? Well, becoming more is simply a mindset shift to improve your life. Because when you change your mindset, you change your actions, and by changing your actions, you get better results. So if my attitude is saying, how can I work with my might? How can I do the best job I possibly can do? Over time, that's going to change the environment of my mind to where now I have a higher standard for myself. And my standard is excellence in terms of effort. I have to put in effort. That's the only choice I have. So it's easy to have the self-control to do that option. And by having that mindset and having those types of actions, I'm now improving my life. I'm developing more endurance. I'm developing higher standards, a better way of thinking. And all that gets me better actions and thus better results because I have better inputs. On the other hand, if I have the loser's mindset saying, hey, what's the least I can do to get through this shift? Well, now I set low standards for myself. And those standards don't just apply to my part-time job. They apply to all other areas of my life. My marriage. Hey, what is the least amount of effort I can do to have a successful marriage? What's the least amount of effort I can put in to make sure I get a good grade in this test? That mindset is going to carry to all areas of life, and that's going to limit how much you become because you're not having good inputs, and thus you have worse outputs than winners do. And that explains why winners and losers have the same goals, but winners accomplish theirs while losers don't. The winner and loser in terms of part-time job, they both had the goal of making money. But winners have a different attitude. How can I work my mind? How can I have efficiency when working? And thus they become more, improve their lives, set higher standards, and get better results than losers who live off low standards and thus low attitudes, low mindset, and low results for themselves. And this was my exact message in my book. In page 182, I said, referring to Ecclesiastes 9:10, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with your might. I said, who truly gives 100% effort in everything they do? Who actually puts everything they have into their work? The reality is, very few people actually meet that standard. Nonetheless, it's the ones who come the closest, those who consistently give their all, who usually rise to the top. Winners have higher standards for themselves than losers do, and those standards force them to adopt a better mindset so they can reach that level of excellence they have set for themselves. So when you do the same thing, when you choose to have good expectations, when you choose to adopt a good mindset, choosing to work with your mind, choosing to have good perceptions, have good perspectives, and ultimately have a good mental state, a good environment of your mind so you can have better thoughts, you're going to be a winner. You're going to have great success. Now, by success, I don't just mean attaining your goals. I don't just mean accomplishing what you set out to do, because we can't control that. We can't always control the result we get. We can only control our effort, our inputs. And if we have good inputs, we may get that result or we may not. But success is not based on attaining the outcome. Success is based on putting in good inputs. If you work with your might, if you work with efficiency, and you do everything you can to get a positive outcome, you have succeeded because you have become more. I talk about this in my book in page 191. It says, our success isn't measured by whether we achieve the outcome we want. It's measured by the effort we put in to pursue it. We can't control the outcome, but we can control our effort. So the only loss in life is when we don't put in high quality effort, because that would mean we didn't do everything we could to get the best result possible. And that is the mindset winners have. They realize, hey, I may not always win this game, but if I did everything I could to win this game, I have actually succeeded. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you now understand the difference between winners and losers is found in their mindsets. Though they have the same target and go at the same goals, winners, when they shoot, they hit, while losers keep airballing their shots because of the poor mindset. So if you like this type of content, feel free to subscribe. God bless me for a new mic and a camera, so the qualities of these videos will improve. That's for you guys. And also for you guys, I wrote a book. It's called Controlling the Controllable, How Anyone Can Become Influential. And the message is, when I control what I can control, I inspire others to do the same. So if you want to learn how to do that, read this book. It'll teach you exactly how to do that, how to become influential by controlling what you can control. And you guys stuck around for a long time, so if you want a free PDF copy of this book, DM me at austin_inspiration.daily, and I'll give you a free copy, a PDF copy of this book, or you can buy it online. My website is in the description, and you can also see it on Amazon. So check this out. Leave a review, please, and leave any comments in the description as well. So thank you for watching.